Hi everyone, my name is Andrew and I am Senior Software Engineer. In this position I have a lot of responsibilities. One of them is to conduct interviews with candidates, both for project and company. No doubt they have to be efficient in terms of time and hiring quality. To do so, I use a specific structure which has some differences from time to time, but it always has the same part, a coding challenge. In this video, I would like to share a task for a junior or middle front-end developer on ReactJS. For this video, I'll clone this repository from GitHub and I'll use my IDE WebStorm, but during the usual interview I provide a code sandbox for a candidate. Links both for the GitHub and sandbox you can find below in the description. At the beginning of every coding part I explain all that I expect from a candidate and demonstrate a working example. As you can see, it's a simple ReactJS ToDo application, but a candidate will receive an intentionally broken version. There are several criteria to pass a coding part successfully. A candidate should be able to understand code structure and navigate through it. A candidate should determine why code is broken and what steps are needed to perform to fix an application. A candidate has to talk about steps is about to perform. It's a really good practice. It helps me determine if candidate goes in the right way and hit if not. In addition, I assess communication skills. A candidate should fix most of the critical issues in the application. The current coding task aims to assess the understanding of working with React and experience in JavaScript. Unfortunately, if person won't resolve most of the issues, it's a red flag. In the README file, I have the whole list of the application issues. I need to fix an ability to display all tasks and their layout. Also, I have to fix the issues with adding, toggling and deleting tasks. The last one is to count completed tasks. At this moment, you can pause the video, clone the repository that I mentioned and try to solve all the issues by yourself. But I will solve the task as what the candidate do. As you can see, I already have cloned the repository, so now I'll try to start an application. So I got a broken ToDo application. The very first thing that I see is ToDo items don't display. Let's check if they're predefined and I'll start with the main file app.jsx. As you can see, a constant ToDo's template contains all the elements, but it doesn't assign anywhere. Looks like an issue and exactly what I'm looking for, but I won't make sure about that. Let's check what's going on below. Let's look at line number 42. As you can see, I have React hook use state and empty array assigned as a value. Then this empty array as constant ToDo's passed to React Context API at line number 46. That's definitely a hint. I'll try to find a component that uses ToDo's from Context API. I think it has to be ToDo list. Now let's look at ToDo list.jsx. As I guessed at line number 7, application tries to receive ToDo's from React Context API, and then at line number 28 it displays them as is. So nothing wrong here. The missing part is an app.jsx. Let's go back to the app.jsx and change the initial state from empty array to ToDo's template. After making those changes, let's check the browser. Awesome, the very first bug solved. ToDo items displayed as expected, but there is a bug with the layout. Tasks have to be listed under each other. So let's get back to the IDE. I already saw that task displays in ToDo list, so the next step will be in ToDo list.scss. Now let's find what class is responsible for ToDo items. At line number 27 I can see that it's ToDo list content. Okay, at ToDo list.scss I have found styles of this class. I can see that it has two properties, display flex and justify content center, so the only thing is missing is flex direction. And the value should be column. Now let's check the browser. Perfectly, for now I have fixed the first two bugs. The next step is to fix the ability to add a new task. As I remember the structure of components in app.jsx, there was a ToDo form component. Let's take a look at that one. In this component I already have everything I need. ToDo's and set ToDo's from React Context API, empty method handle at ToDo, and I have controlled input, therefore I have an access to the value of this input. And now let's think what I need to perform to enrich handle at ToDo method with logic. The very first thought that I received set ToDo's method from React Context API. This method is serving for updating ToDo's, so let's use it. So in set ToDo's I have to put ToDo elements plus new ToDo item, but mutating the origin array is contrary to React. So let's spread it to make a copy. Okay, good. Now I need to add a new task. At first, let's look at the item structure in app.jsx. In ToDo's template, we can see the structure of ToDo item. It has several properties, such as ID, label, and checked. Let's add that structure to the ToDo items. ID has to be computed by incrementing the ID of a previous ToDo item. I'll make sure that I have a value from the previous one, otherwise assign 0 to it. So at first I'll get the length of ToDo elements. Then I'll check that length is bigger than 0. In this case I'll get the ID of the very last element and increment it. Otherwise I'll assign 0. The next property is label. It will contain the value of the input. And the very last property is checked. And it should be false. Okay, this looks good, but there is a thing that I forgot to add. Let's check the browser and find out what issue I still have. Now, if I try to add a new task, I'll receive an error. So I receive a type error. setToDos is not a function. That's happened because I forgot to pass setToDos to React Context API. Let's add it in app.jsx. Okay, good, it works now. And it pretty much looks like the complete solution. But it would be better to add several more things. At first, let's clear the input after adding a new task. To do so, I'll just pass an empty string to method setTask. Okay, now it looks better. But there is still one more thing. Now I don't have any values in the input. Let's hit add task. Oh, that looks bad. Application shouldn't add a new task without label. Let's fix that. Let's just check that I have a task in handle at ToDo method. As you can see, after hitting add task button, nothing happens. Now I can finally say that the ability to add a new task works like a charm, and the third bug is solved. Let's move on to the next issue, the ability to toggle a task. As I can remember ToDo list component, there were two empty methods. Let's look at them. So the first one is handleDelete method, and the second one is toggleCheck. Both methods receive ID of ToDo item, so I'll start with toggleCheck method. And again I'll use method setToDos. For now I have to put ToDo's array with updated ToDo item, but I can't mutate the origin array. Also, I have to change checked property of an item. So I'll use mapArray method to receive a new copy of the array with an updated element. At first, I'll compare the IDs of elements. If they equal, I have found required element. So I'll spread all the elements properties and I'll just reverse checked value. Great, now application is able to toggle tasks. Let's watch it in the browser. Now let's look at handleDelete method. This solution is even easier than the previous one. The only thing I need to perform is to remove the required element from the array by filtering. I'll use filterArray method that returns a new copy of the array without the required element. Great! Now application is able to display, add, toggle and delete tasks. The only thing is left to count all completed tasks. In the structure of components in app.jsx, I have ToDo results component. Let's take a look at that one. To calculate checked ToDo items, I need to get an array of ToDo elements. So let's get it from React Context API. Now let's calculate checked items inside the calculateChecked method. Awesome, at this stage the application fully operates as expected and all bugs are resolved. The coding task is complete. There are still a couple of things that we can improve, but it's not necessary during this coding challenge. When I give this task to a candidate, I'm trying to understand if a person is able to successfully work on a real project. Even that quite simple task is able to filter unsuitable candidates. I hope this example can help you in your future interviews, or at least bring you some fun. It was Andrew, thank you for watching this video, please subscribe if you are interested in front-end development and JavaScript. See you in the next videos.